It is much the same mix as last year in the saloon car paddock, with the Sierra Cosworths dominating the front of the field. Reg Tuttle's repaired Cosworth may not be registered, but John Burns has clocked in with the Motor Enthusiast Club after a year's layoff.
John, you seem to be in earnest discussion there.
Oh yeah, no, they've changed the rules and regulations since I was here before, and we're just trying to suss out what's going on. We're only learning very quickly here.
So what is the change?
I don't know. Since I raced here before, it was pop-off valves, and it's restrictors now, and there's weight limits and all sorts of situations that I'm learning here, and I don't want to find myself in some sort of a situation where I'll be in trouble at the end of the day, so I want to make sure we have everything in order, that's it.
John, you've had quite a long layoff.
Oh yeah, I'm very rusty.
There are other very familiar racing faces in the saloon car paddock.
There's a fair bit of experience now between you two here.
Many years, many years. But I don't know, I think we were just saying we enjoy the actual racing. We don't now enjoy the standing around and hanging around waiting for everything to start.
But still as competitive as ever, Rosemary.
Well, we try to be, obviously, but Ken was just saying earlier on, all these youngsters out here, you know, they're all determined to see us off some way or other, so, but it's good fun.
Well, Kenny, you've come back, dare I say, in a blaze of glory.
Well, the new overalls. I can't say it's a blaze of glory, but I'm quite happy to be back. Once I'm in being competitive, and once I'm a nuisance to the others, that'll do me fine.
In practice, Helmut Hohlfeld sets the initial target time of 1 minute 3.17 seconds. Peter Faulkner is second up, 0.3 of a second slower. And Franco Rook is just 0.4 seconds behind that. But there have been a number of detailed regulation changes this year. Paddy Byrne, the series coordinator, explains.
The Group N Association decided to bring some spectacle into the sport, and we've introduced the pace car. We've also introduced rolling starts. The idea of the pace car is that if there's an incident on the track, we can introduce the pace car to slow the cars down, and then when the incident is cleared, we pull in the pace car and they continue on racing.
This is a real American NASCAR style stuff.
The idea is to try and bring spectacle that the people out there that are watching it makes it very interesting for them.
And finally, looking very healthy up the front with all these Cosworths.
I'm telling you, isn't it beautiful? And we have a few more up our sleeve. We have the option of a celebrity car this year as well, and I'm working at the moment on talking to a mainline. In fact, I'll say it now, a former Can-Am champion to race in a Group N race.
While Paddy has been talking, Franco Rook has put in a scorcher to dip into the 1 minute 2 second bracket and take pole position. Hohlfeld is on the front row, then Faulkner, then KELLETT and Burns.
The pace car is the innovation, but the weather is far from conducive to introducing new ideas. Here we are in the pace car lap with Gordon Kellett, the in-car camera fixed in Gordon's car this year. He is now approaching turn 1. You can see the pace car there leading the pack through that very tight and very slippy turn 1. And you can see that Gordon has just got it all wrong, and he's popped it up onto the grass as the rest of the field stream by, having difficulty now getting this off the grass.
And taking an awful lot of time. He's on slick tyres. The only one out there on intermediates is Franco Rook, and this means that he's got a lot of catching up. There's only 2 pace laps, Brian.
Yes, and on these pace laps, you will see the yellow flags being waved. So in actual fact, when he joins the end of the queue, the yellow flag being waved there, no incident, just to say that they're on the pace lap. He should join the end of the queue behind the Peugeots, and he still will have a lot to do. He's now catching the Peugeots. As he moves up, he should now hold pace here on this pace lap. He's beginning to move through the 2-litre class made up with the Peugeots. You can see a hand in the air, Reg Tuttle waving him on. Well, this is not going to help Gordon, because in fact he will have to be penalised in some way by the officials at the end, because he's actually gained from his little spin there. The pace car with the yellow lights flashing, and once these lights go off, the drivers will know that the coordinator who is in that course is happy with the grid. The lights are off. That means that this will be a start, and as the Porsche turns through Barham, he will head for the pit lane, and then the driver should hold station down the main straight till they get to the start and finish line, and that is actually where the race starts. Frank on pole position, beside him Hohlfeld. The next row, Peter Faulkner, who's moving slightly there, having a look at the gap between Hohlfeld, in fact rubbing shoulders with him as they go down. Remember, a lot of water on the track, but it's Frank holding that inside line. Hohlfeld through John Burns just coming down the outside, and A little bit of weaving there from Peter, not intentionally, just no grip, and Michael Leonard has nipped up by Peter Faulkner. You can hear the bang there as our camera car just runs into the back of Faulkner's car. So it's O'Rourke from Halfeld, from Burns, from Michael Leonard, Peter Faulkner, and then Gordon Kellett, and all in these Cosworths. And remember, the only one on the intermediates is our leader at the moment, Frank O'Rourke.
And here we are in car coming down into Subaru again. Leonard gets it on the grass, and that's Faulkner coming across the bows of Kellett. A little bit of touching there again. Conditions absolutely treacherous. What a fabulous sight with all these Cosworths, however. But the Peugeots, amazingly, just behind this trio, sticking well. And going for the inside line there, Kellett. He gets a nudge from Faulkner. He's in trouble. He's round again, Brian.
Yes, unfortunately, he tried that inside manoeuvre, got the wheels up on the curves and got the car slightly out of shape. But look, we can see that the battle really here is for second place, and John Burns has nipped down the inside of Helmut Halfeld. It just shows after years layoff, he hasn't lost any of the touches he had, and good battles going on down the field. The Peugeots there battling, and that is Ward in the black and white car, shadowing Reg Tuttle in the rebuild car. Frank getting a little out of shape as they come down into this complex. Very, very difficult indeed. And Gordon Kellett still fighting with this mighty Sierra. Remember, he's spun it twice now, keeps it all together there, but he has a lot more to do if he wants to get back with the leaders.
O'Rourke, Burns, Halfeld, these three have broken away a little bit. Burns locking up there as he came up into the last corner before starting another lap. Down they go the straight. We pull back to see the Peugeot dice. That's David Kidd there, mixing it with Ward in the Cosworth. But now skipping ahead to lap 5, and we see that Peter Faulkner is in a new situation and about to inherit a bit of a bonus because Burns has spun.
Burns has spun. Peter was in 4th place, now up into 3rd place, and a super driver in the wet. He'll have got used to the conditions because they do change. A little bit of a dry line appeared at one corner, but Frank at the moment pulling away. There's our 2nd place man, Halfeld, and we should see Peter, our new 3rd place man, coming through now. That's Peter in 3rd, and the battle in the background, there you are, Leonard, Tuttle and Brian Ward, and these three are really at it.
And just behind them, David Kidd, and there's Cullen, and there's Miller getting very, very sideways indeed, and Kellett recovering, just having passed BARRABLE.
Down into the S's again, Michael Leonard holding that inside line to keep Tuttle at bay, but still tiptoeing through these S's. You have a place here where the water streams across the track, and just there where you see the tail of the car come out, but Ward having a look at that inside line as they come up the hill, under braking. He's done it perfectly. He'll just bump Reg out and move up a place onto the boot lid of Michael Leonard. Michael doing it all right that time, using all the road as he comes out, heading now for turn 1. Again, another very tight hairpin, but Ward closing under braking, but just not close enough to use that inside line as they tiptoe out of this hairpin. Watch for the tail end of the car trying to step out of place. The next one is a very tight left-hander. Michael a little too close to the inside and touches the curbs again. The car gets out of shape, but he's on the grass, brake lights on as he has. Now watch from our in-car camera, you'll see his car just slice across the track in between two of the Peugeot, and I'm sure Michael Leonard got a fright that time.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, up front, things are changing because Frank O'Rourke has been hauled in by Helmut Halfeld. And I wonder, is there a problem with O'Rourke's car? We saw a little puff of smoke out of it a couple of laps ago. Here's the Peugeots mixing it up with Kellett now, beginning to take them, just going inside there, Michael Cullen, and now it's David Kidd in his sights, and you can see Tuttle just ahead of that again.
Now you should see the power of the Cosworth on the straight. Kidd beginning to close that inside line, so Gordon's going to have to go the long way. But in front there's a battle between two Cosworths, and anything can happen around a corner in Mondello. And as he exits, you see that Ward has spun, nearly taking Tuttle off, kept himself out of trouble. But look at what he's got to do to keep control of this Cosworth, and doing it very well indeed in these conditions. But again, the little Peugeot through the corners, back front, the battle is getting severe for Frank O'Rourke. A lot of smoke now from his car, and Helmut will know that possibly the one in front is in trouble, so he'll bide his time. Brakes on there as he had to back off through the S's, but he's in with a chance for the inside line as they go for Barham. If he can just tuck out from behind him. Yes, looking at the inside line, you don't have to go in too deep. watch out, fox your opponent. Again, a little dab on the brakes to slow himself down in the middle of the corner, settle the car, and he pulls ahead of Frank. Meanwhile, Gordon getting by David Kidd in the same position. Halfeld, our leader, safely through, and this is the battle for second place, and Faulkner having a look at that inside line again and just sweeps his way by the ailing Frank O'Rourke.
So we move on to the last lap. Halfeld way out in the lead, a lonely lead. In second place, Peter Faulkner, again with a big gap between him and third place now O'Rourke. But O'Rourke is now being chased down by Gordon Kellett, and here's Kellett in a last-ditch attempt. He's down at the far end of the circuit, this double apex right-hander coming out with no grip, remember, because he's on slick tyres, and he's watching that smoke bellowing out of the back of O'Rourke's car. He's only got 3 corners to do it in, Brian.
Yes, and remember, he's spun twice. He doesn't want to make it 3 in a row, but he's still fighting all the way. That's our winner, and no doubt about it, Halfeld. This is it, coming up to that last hairpin at Barham. And again, going in very deep indeed, locking the wheels. He's seen the smoke. Can he make it on a drag to the line? Every gear change has got to be perfect. Into third, and he's got to pull out now, and they're not too far to the flag. And no, O'Rourke just pips him.
It's champagne time for the saloon men, but the fizz will go out of David Kidd's celebrations, seen here in the yellow suit, as he will lose his points for not carrying the correct championship logos. Helmut, it was a wet race and a wet presentation.
I don't know what I'm wetter from, the rain or the champagne. It was a tough race, but I enjoyed every minute of it. Slippery conditions for everybody, but kept my head down, tried to keep it as clean as possible, and I think it worked.
Now, obviously Frank had a problem.
He had a mechanical problem. Frank pulled out a bit of a lead, and to be honest with you, I think it would have been hard to catch, but a mechanical problem put him back down the grid.
In fact, the mechanical problem was only the start of O'Rourke's worries, as he was later excluded for a technical infringement. Gordon Kellett also lost his points for jumping the queue on that pace lap, but now both of them are minus points in the championship.
After what can only be described as a difficult day for all concerned, Michael Cullen now finds himself the surprise leader of the Dunlop Saloon Car Series, 3 points clear of Peter Faulkner, with Halfeld third and Michael Leonard fourth. And as always, Peter Faulkner had the last word.
I had made kind of promise to myself and my wife that I'd race once a month, but I hope she doesn't watch this programme and hold me to it.